Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again tonight. Before we start, if you like this type of content, liking and subscribing really help keep this going. Also, drop in the comments what other game or series you'd like to listen to in the future. I tend to listen to these myself quite often. Tonight, we close the arc with what lasts after the work. The myths people will tell, the relics they'll carry, the pilgrim paths they'll walk, and the honest way to remember an age where victory sounded like chores done right. Begin with the simplest truth about myths. They arrive when the noise of panic fades and the mind wants a shape to hold. What we make into legend isn't always the most dramatic moment. It's the first moment we could breathe and look around without counting exits. That is why the stories that stick from this era are quiet on the page and heavy in the body. They sound like a bell pulled once and answered by a square that knows its own voice. The oldest myth to survive this generation will be the tale of the hinges. It starts as a joke children tell each other to get out of sweeping, that somewhere there is a hinge so perfect it never needs oil, and a door so honest it never needs a hand. The adult version is a warning turned into comfort. It says there was once a street that lost its sound, and people forgot to look at each other when passing. A traveller came and did not draw a blade, only a pin of oil. He touched each hinge one by one, then left. The next day, arguments returned and markets moved, and a hollow stepped aside for a woman carrying bread. Folk tales add a twist. Some say the traveller was a flame-born, some say a baker, some say a child, but the ending is the same. The street did not change because a hero arrived. It changed because the smallest part got its job back. There is also the myth of the missing ring. In many towns, a bell goes silent for 1 hour every year on purpose. People tell children that long ago, a bell kept ringing through a fog rise even when no one was pulling the rope. The sound was correct, but empty, and the square went smooth under it. When the ring finally stopped, the return to honest noise felt like a blessing. Now the bell rests for 1 marked hour each year, so the town remembers that sound, without hand, is a trap. Pilgrims plan to be in the square for that hour and practice standing with quiet that does not erase. They bring small bells in their pockets and promise not to use them until the rope is taken up again. It is a gentle ritual with teeth in it. People will tell the story of the bread that spoke. It is not supernatural. It is a day a baker, exhausted, forgot her vial and proofed the loaves longer because nothing else would do. The crusts cracked so cleanly that the square paused to listen. Someone laughed out loud for the first time in weeks. The myth gives the loaf a voice. In truth, the loaf gave the people their voices. Many towns keep a yearly loaf for the clinic. It is broken by hand in the ward at dusk and eaten with weak tea while names are read. The crack is the point. It says, "This room does not belong to fog." Relics in this age do not glow. They show fingerprints. The most prized are rope segments from bell towers with ropeware smoothed by years of hands. A foot of rope on a mantle tells a house that decisions here have been made at the right times. People also keep fragments of market rope, not because they are rare, but because the fibers remember friction in a way that reminds the fingers to participate. A handstone passed down becomes a family's contract with their street. Once a season, the stone touches the neighborhood altar, and nobody needs to say why. Ledgers become relics when they outlive their keepers. The prized pages are the ones with short, useful lines and no flourishes, proof that care was given without needing to be noticed. There will be pilgrim paths, and they will not lead to thrones. They will follow sounds. A hinge song path moves from town to town, where doors are famous for speaking correctly. The path markers are not statues. They are small plaques on jambs with dates of the last oiling and the first. Pilgrims walk at dawn and help the keeper for 10 minutes, then move on. A market bell path loops through squares that pulled a rope through bad months without missing an hour. Pilgrims time their steps to arrive just before the ring, then share bread and move on. A kettle path crosses clinics with kettles that stayed faithful during terrible weeks. Pilgrims refill water, leave dry wood and write 3 words in a ledger, kept the simmer, before they go. None of these paths require permission. They require the kind of politeness that cleans its own cup. The law of figures will grow around ordinary names until they look taller than they were. A maintenance lead who kept a city awake by insisting on hinges will gain a nickname. door speaker, hinge friend, pin bearer. Children will ask if he fought monsters. The honest answer is better than the brave one. He fought the urge to be impressive when the street needed routine. A caravan captain who varied a schedule without chaos will be remembered as Windwalker. The truth is, she carried a weather book and learned to say no to perfect plans on still days. A midwife who kept kettles singing and names read will become Hearthsayer. She will be drawn in stories with a crown of steam. In her real ledger, the crown is 3 rings on a page marking the hours she refused to miss. Collectors will try to make relics rare. The culture will push back by making relics common and work-specific. A rope from a famous tower will be cut into many small pieces and mailed to schools. A handstone will be copied by apprentices out of local rock and passed freely. A ledger page will be read aloud in a distant town, so its sentences can be borrowed the next time fog rises. The rarest relic will be an intact routine. People will travel to watch a square that has hit the bell at the same 4 times for 100 seasons. They will bring their own ropes home and change their habits accordingly. Folk epics will appear with rhymes simple enough to speak while carrying weight. One will list the 4 proofs of a real place, a bell on time, a hinge with a voice, a kettle at simmer, and a ledger line that tells the truth in fewer than 7 words. Children will chant this before games. Travelers will check their rooms by it. Another will name the 7 honest noises: broom on threshold, wood on wood, bread at break, footfall returned, door closing, pen scratch, and wind. There will be satirical versions that add goat bleats and cart swears in alleys, and they'll be allowed because the point is to keep people talking. Myths also want villains. This age will refuse capes and choose habits. The smoother becomes a stock figure, not a person, but a temptation dressed as help. In plays, the smoother enters a room and silences a hinge, polishes a table until cups slide silently, replaces a bell with a mechanism, and insists the clinic can keep water cold instead of hot because it is more pleasant. Audiences boo because they know how the scene ends. The square forgets its voice. In the next act, the kitchen hero returns a simmer, and the note of relief that follows is more satisfying than any duel. There will be miracle stories, and they will be corrected gently by keepers. Someone will claim a flameborn sang and cleared a square of fog in a heartbeat. The ledger will say the flameborn invited 10 people to hum a single off-key note while the pylon was detuned by a hair, then left for an hour to let the air argue with itself. The correction does not ruin wonder. It relocates it to the human circle. Children who hear the corrected version grow up able to repeat the act rather than waiting for a song they cannot sing. Museum rooms in the far future will be quiet and strong. On a table in a glass case will sit a kettle lid with a small dent at the place where a simmer trills best. A note on the case will say, "Used nights through the long pressure." Visitors will stand in respectful boredom. Curators will not let a looped soundtrack play. They will allow a keeper to come twice a day and make a real simmer for 10 minutes. People will line up for that moment and feel the correct anxiety lift. They will leave remembering the scent and the faint sound and forget the plaque's words. That is how memory works best. Libraries will keep 2 kinds of books side by side. Ledgers in stout bindings, indexed by town and season, and songbooks with blank measures for local editions. A traveler checks the ledger to see what saved this place in winter. He writes the method down and tries it in his own square. He checks the songbook for how the bell is answered here and copies the cadence with a pencil mark so his own bell can say hello correctly when he returns. There will be pilgrimages to places where nothing happened because those places did the work. People will walk to a town that never fell quiet and ask the keeper what hero saved it. The keeper will point at a crew with brooms and a girl with a rope burn on her palm and a ledger with clean, short lines. The pilgrim will feel a lack of drama and then relief. He will go home understanding that he already holds what he came to seek. Art will not shy from fog. Painters will keep a streak of smooth running through landscapes and show where the street resisted with texture. Sculptors will rub one side of a stone to a near gloss and leave the other side worked by chisel. Viewers will be invited to touch the chisel side. Performers will stage plays that begin in too perfect quiet and bring in noises one by one until the audience starts to breathe properly. The applause will be short and real because the bell still must ring on time. The last closing myths belong to the Flameborn, and the honest version is the kindest. It will say they were people trained to wake into a room where they weren't needed yet and be patient, or into a room where they were needed and be small. It will say they learned boredom as a high art, and they taught it to us like a craft. It will say that when the corridors were thick enough, they went walking without names among markets, tasting bread, oiling hinges, smiling when the bell was pulled just right, and then they went below because sleep is not absence in a world that keeps itself. Pilgrims will stop at vault mouths, not to beg for heroes, but to thank the teachers and promise to teach. So how do you tell all this to the next tired listener without lying to them? You choose sentences that turn back into actions when spoken out loud. You say a bell on time keeps a name from floating. You say a hinge with a voice keeps a door honest. You say a kettle at simmer keeps a ward awake. You say a ledger line written plainly keeps a rumour from growing teeth. If they ask for monsters, you give them habits in costume and hand them the method to change the costume back. If they ask for relics, you give them a rope fibre and a task. If they ask for a path, you point to a door and invite them to oil it with you and then lead them to the square for the ring on the hour. It helps to close with a map you can carry in the chest. Mark 4 points: the bell, the hinge, the kettle, the ledger. Draw lines between them. Bell to hinge is time to honesty. Hinge to kettle is honesty to care. Kettle to ledger is care to memory. Ledger to bell is memory to time. In the middle is a small circle where your name sits while you live here. That circle does not belong to fog. It belongs to your participation. Teach this drawing to a child with chalk on stone, and you have made a relic and a ritual in one motion. There are future festivals that will feel like thank yous to this era. The Day of Edges occurs at the turn from cool to warm winds. People place one honest sound in each important room and invite neighbours to come listen. Markets hang irregular lanterns and practice raising and lowering them so drafts keep moving. Schools draw maps of the corridors with wide lines where texture holds and narrow where help is needed. Caravans arrive with music that doesn't loop and leave with 3 ledgers to copy. At dusk, the bell rings offbeat once by design and then correct on the hour to remember that correction is a choice. At the end of our story, our last picture is small: a street at night, a window cracked to hand's width, a hinge that speaks just enough when the door closes, a kettle lid shifting to its trill and then resting. A ledger on a table with a pencil lying across it because someone will add a line in the morning. A bell rope coiled and ready in the tower. Footsteps pass and return cleanly from stone. Somewhere below, the spiral moves at its patient pace and finds little to hold because above it the day was filled by hands. The fog does not leave. It stays where it can be bored. We do not leave. We stay where we can be present. Thank you for walking through this world with me. If this helped you unwind or kept you company after a long day, liking and subscribing really help keep this going. Drop your ideas for the next full lore series in the comments. I read them, and I listen to these the same way you do. Late, when the rooms finally sound like themselves. Until next time, keep one honest sound in each room and one clear task on each page. That's how stories stay true. That's how worlds do.